4, 3, 2, 1.
Studio Classroom is Studio Classroom is on the air.
Hello friends, welcome to Studio Classroom on the air. This is the place to come when you want to have some fun. My name is Rebecca, and today your English will improve. Do you like art? Do you like to go to art museums? If so, you will love today's lesson. In today's lesson, we're talking about the artist of a well-known painting, Praying Hands. While many people may be familiar with this painting, many people may not know the man behind this famous drawing. We are going to learn who this man is in a lesson called Albrecht Dürer, Leonardo of the North. Well, friends, it's time for you to open your magazines to today's lesson, and let's begin talking about art. Let's go.
Albrecht Dürer, Leonardo of the North. Meet the creator of Praying Hands. Many people recognize the name of the great Italian artist Leonardo da Vinci. Far fewer have heard of Albrecht Dürer. Known by those with expertise in art as the Leonardo of the North. Although Dürer may not be a household name, one of his artworks hangs in countless homes, the well-loved drawing Praying Hands. Dürer created this image with ink and pencil on homemade blue paper in 1508, and copies have been displayed all over the world for generations. The multitudes who have Praying Hands on their wall probably don't even know who drew the original.
Hello everyone, welcome to Language Lab. I'm Jack. 今天我们要看的第一个字是 expertise。expertise 是一个名词，意思是专长，像是知识方面或是技能方面的专长。我们来看例句。Valerie was able to get a job in the theater's costume department because of her sewing expertise. Valerie 能够在剧院的戏服部门里找到工作，因为她有缝纫的技能。或是 The company is relying on the expertise of its consultant. 那家公司依赖他们的顾问的专长。还有一句 Since we don't have the expertise to fix the computer, we should wait for a professional to come and do the job. 我们既然没有修理电脑的技能，就应该等专业人士来帮我们。接下来我们来看名词 multitude。在文章里Multitude 的意思是众多人，一大堆人。譬如说 We are going to visit a popular tourist destination, so don't be surprised by the multitude. 我们要去参观一个有名的观光胜地，所以看到人山人海，不要感到惊讶。或是 When the restaurant started to offer a promotional discount, it never expected a multitude to show up. 当餐厅开始提供促销折扣时，没想到会吸引那么多人来。Multitude 也有非常多的意思，例如 Jeremy can't meet right now. He has a multitude of things to take care of. Jeremy 现在无法碰面，因为他有太多事情要处理了。
Well, thank you very much, Jack. We always appreciate your expertise there in the Language Lab. And friends, if you are just joining us, we are on page 16 of your magazine, and I'm happy to be here too. My name is Gabe.
Well, today we're talking about Albrecht Dürer, Leonardo of the North. And before we get right into our lesson, we need to take a look at something in the title, and that is the idea of these two words, of the, Leonardo of the North. This just means that, well, in the same way that Leonardo was famous in the South, Albrecht Dürer was famous in the North.
And so, of course, we're talking about Leonardo da Vinci, one of the most famous, perhaps the most famous artist in all of history. So he was famous in the South, and we are comparing Albrecht Dürer with him. We use this word of, or this phrase of the, when comparing something with something else. For example, I've often referred to Taroko Gorge, that is Tailuka, near Hualien, as the Yosemite of Taiwan, or perhaps the Grand Canyon of Taiwan.
Excellent example, Gabe.
Yeah.
Well, we read in the deck, meet the creator of the praying hands. Many people recognize the name of the great Italian artist, Leonardo da Vinci. Far fewer have heard of Albrecht Dürer, known by those with expertise in art as the Leonardo of the North. Gabe, were you familiar with Albrecht Dürer before reading this lesson?
No, it wasn't. Not the name. I was familiar with some of his artwork. I'd recognized Praying Hands and the Rhinoceros, which we'll learn about tomorrow. But I was not familiar with this artist. And you see in this picture is a painting. It's actually a self-portrait. He painted himself. So this is Albrecht Dürer. Of course, back at that time, there were no cameras. You couldn't take a picture of yourself. No selfies, so he painted himself.
What a great thing to do during those times. Self-portraits, or portraits in general, were definitely a lot more popular because, like Gabe mentioned, you couldn't take a picture with a camera.
Yeah.
Well, we read, although Dürer may not be a household name, one of his artworks hangs in countless homes, the well-loved drawing Praying Hands. We would like to take a look at a phrase, or these two words together, household name. That just refers to a person or thing that is well known by the public.
That's right. Everybody knows that he's so famous or popular that if you mention this name in anybody's house, they'll know immediately who you're talking about. You don't need to explain it any further. For example, a lot of celebrities, singers, actors, they are household names like Brad Pitt or Celine Dion. You don't need to explain who they are to most people. You could even refer to groups as household names, like the band Mayday, 五月天. Here, you don't need to explain who that is. Everybody knows they are a household name.
That's right. And of course, we're talking about Albrecht Dürer and how this isn't necessarily a household name, but a lot of people are familiar with the drawing Praying Hands. We read, Dürer created this image with ink and pencil on homemade blue paper in 1508, and copies have been displayed all over the world for generations.
That's right. So he made the paper as well. He made this, it's called homemade paper, right? Because he made that himself, this blue paper. And something special about Praying Hands, I don't know if you've seen this painting before. Rebecca, have you seen this artwork before, Praying Hands?
I have seen it before.
Yeah.
I just can't remember exactly where.
Yeah, I know some people who have this artwork hanging in their house somewhere. And I did some research on this artwork. It seems like Praying Hands was actually created to be a prototype, that is a kind of model for someone else's hands in a bigger picture with other characters as well. So you can compare the two paintings and see that the hands look almost identical, almost exactly the same. It's always fun to do research about famous artwork.
Interesting. Well, we read here, the multitudes who have praying hands on their wall probably don't even know who drew the original. And
so we want to take a look at that word original, right? Because the original was created by somebody, but the opposite of original perhaps is a copy, or there are many copies of something.
That's right. And when we talk about the original, this is just the earliest form of something or something that was first created.
So the original Mona Lisa painting is hanging up in the Louvre in Paris. At least I believe that's the original. Well, friends, we have more to learn about praying hands and Albrecht Dürer, but right now it's time for us to continue with the Info Cloud.
Hello, friends. Welcome to InfoCloud. Did you watch the news last night? There was a big earthquake overseas and so many people were injured.
That's really sad. My thoughts and prayers are with the victims and their families.
Mine as well. Let's explain what we mean by thoughts and prayers. If you say you are sending somebody your thoughts and prayers, it means you promise to pray for them or send good thoughts their way.
Yes, we often use this term when we hear of people being in difficult or tough situations, and there's not much else we can do other than pray or think about them.
That's right. We also use this term when a friend's family member or loved one passes away. We might say, "My thoughts and prayers are with your family during this difficult time."
Good point. Other situations we may hear this term used is after natural disasters occur and government officials express their sympathy or condolences for the victims.
Thoughts and prayers is indeed a good phrase to use when we hear of people suffering in tough circumstances. Make sure to actually send a prayer or good thoughts for them if you say this term.
很多西方人的日常用语或多或少都是受到基督教信仰的影响，像是今天分享的 thoughts and prayers， 这是代表一个人的关心和祷告，通常是用来安慰正在受苦受难的朋友们。例如有个地方发生地震，你可以说 My thoughts and prayers are with the victims and their families。 我为那些受害者和他们的家庭献上我的关心和祷告。如果朋友的家里有人过世了，你也可以说 My thoughts and prayers are with you and your family。 我正在想着你们，也正在为你们祷告。听到这句话的人心里会倍感安慰。这就是今天的 InfoCloud， 我们下次云端见。
Studio Classroom is on the air.
Hello, friends. Welcome back to Studio Classroom, where we are learning about the Leonardo of the North. Do you know who that is? Of course you do. It's Albrecht Dürer. Now, perhaps you're not that familiar with Albrecht Dürer, but you might be familiar with a well-known drawing, and this drawing is praying hands. You guessed it. Well, friends, let's continue learning about Albrecht Dürer now.
Albrecht Dürer, Leonardo of the North. So who was the man behind this famous drawing? Could it be that the greatness of his talent and body of work has been obscured by this one iconic sketch? Albrecht Dürer was born in 1471 in the German-speaking city of Nuremberg and died in the same city in 1528. He lived in a period known as the Renaissance. During this era, arts, culture, and science flourished. The Renaissance began in Florence, Italy, and spread throughout Europe. Renaissance Nuremberg became an important artistic and commercial center for German-speaking people.
OK， 接下来要看的字是动词 obscure。在文章里 ，to obscure 的意思是遮盖或是遮掩。例如 I used to be able to see the ocean from my apartment, but now the view is obscured by the new office building. 我以前可以从我的公寓看到海，但是现在有一栋新办公大楼挡住了海景。或是 James saw a deer and wanted to take a photo, but then the deer was obscured by some trees. James 看到一只鹿想拍照，可是那只鹿却被几棵树挡住了。To obscure 也有让一件事情很难了解，甚至有所隐瞒的意思。譬如说 The police investigation isn't going well because it seems like somebody is trying to obscure the facts. 警方的调查不是很顺利，因为好像有人故意掩盖事实。最后来看动词 flourish， 在文章里 to flourish 的意思是蓬勃发展、繁荣起来。例如 After 3 months of hard work,Trent's business is starting to flourish. 经过3个月的努力之后 Trent 的生意开始好起来。或是 The ancient city flourished under Roman rule. 那座古城在罗马帝国的统治下蓬勃的发展。To flourish 也有茁壮成长、长得很好的意思。例如 With the right amount of water, your plants in the garden should begin to flourish.如果浇了适量的水，你花园里的植物应该可以长得很好。Okay, let's get back to our teachers.
Thank you very much, Jack.
Well, it is very important to try to find a place where you can flourish, right, Rebecca?
Oh, absolutely. That's a great use of the word flourish.
Yeah, because you want to find a place where you can grow and develop and where you can get better at what you do. And so we hope to provide that for you as far as English goes right here at Studio Classroom. We hope this is a place where your English can flourish. But how does our lesson continue?
Now, earlier we were talking about this famous painting or this famous drawing, Praying Hands, and we were discussing how most people probably don't even know who drew the original. Now we see a question. So, who was the man behind this famous drawing? And we would like to take a look at that word, something behind something else. This just means or refers to the person who is responsible for or the cause of something else.
So you can have a person responsible for something, that's the man or woman or boy or girl behind something, like Greta Thunberg is the young lady behind the movement to help with the climate change, right? Or one of the recent movements. But every month we have a lesson about words, right? And in that deck you see stories behind the words we use. So this word behind could also talk about the origin of something. For example, someone recently shared with me the story behind the artist, the singer Wu Bai, right? Why is his name Wu Bai? Why is that his nickname? Well, something that I heard is that he was working with other musicians and they were all going to be paid $100, but because he did such an amazing job one night, the manager gave him $500 and said, well, he stands out. He did an exceptional job, so I'll give him Wu Bai. That's the story I heard. That's the story behind the name Wu Bai. I'm not sure if it's true, is it? Maybe you know another story. But think of another way to use that word behind.
Excellent. Well, we continue with our lesson. Could it be that the greatness of his talent and body of work has been obscured by this one iconic sketch? Now, there are two things that we'd like to discuss in this sentence, starting with body of work. That just refers to one person's, well, all of their work compiled together.
That's right. It could refer to all of their work, every piece of art they ever did. Or I've heard this also referred to someone's exhibition. So like at a museum, maybe they only take a few, maybe 10 or 20 of someone's pieces of artwork, but then they have other ones, but at that exhibition is a body of work. But we do want to talk about another word in this sentence, and that is the word iconic.
What does it mean if something is iconic? It means it's very famous or popular, and it usually represents something particular.
Okay, so for example, the Eiffel Tower is an iconic building in Paris, France. Of course, when you think of Paris, or when a lot of people think of Paris, they think of the Eiffel Tower. When you think of something and that makes you think of something else, then that other thing is probably iconic in some way. So this sentence, could it be that the greatness of his talent and body of work has been obscured by this one iconic sketch? I think this sentence is trying to say that this Praying Hands sketch is so famous that a lot of people just think about that painting and don't even think about the other great things that this artist has done.
Okay, and that's a possibility, right? Well, we continue. Albrecht Dürer was born in 1471 in the German-speaking city of Nuremberg and died in the same city in 1528.
He lived in a period known as the Renaissance. During this era, arts, culture, and science flourished. So we're learning a little bit about the Renaissance in this paragraph as well, and you can do a little more research about this era. It's a very significant era in history. But of course, we learned a little bit about Florence here. So let's go to Florence today for today's SC Travel.
Buongiorno, fellow travelers. I'm your host, David. And if you enjoy art, history, and delicious food, then I have a place that is right up your alley. Florence, Italy. If something is right up one's alley, it means that it's something that they will definitely enjoy. And I think you would love to start off your Florentine adventure with the historic Duomo. It was originally built in 1436, but it took hundreds of years to finish. Hey, don't forget to look up at the incredible artwork when you step inside. Wow! While you're there, pop next door to visit Giotto's Campanile. This masterpiece was completed in 1359, and inside, you can climb over 400 steps to see some amazing views of the city. While you're up there, keep an eye out for the Uffizi Gallery and Palace, because that's where we are headed next. Uffizi is one of the most important Italian museums in the world and contains work from famous Renaissance artists, including Leonardo da Vinci. You could spend weeks in Florence admiring its historic art, but now it's time to eat. So kick off your foodie tour with a bistec alla Fiorentina. This famous dish is a juicy T-bone steak cooked with a mouth-watering mix of seasonings. Bring a friend if you order this, because it's huge. For a taste of Florentine street food, be sure to try a lampredotto sandwich. This is a common folk dish made with thinly sliced tripe that has been boiled and seasoned. And for dessert, it's gotta be gelato. Gelato is one of the treasures of Florence, so don't settle for the first place you see. Go off the beaten path, ask around, and find out where the locals go. If you can, take it to go and end your day at the Piazzale Michelangelo, where you can get the best view of the city at sunset. Alas, that's all we have time for now, but I'll see you next time on SC Travel. Ciao.
Let's see, we have the phrase household name, iconic, somebody behind something. Well, these are just some of the words and phrases that we talked about today. And I know that you're going to take some time today and practice using these words. And I would encourage you to go back and reread today's lesson, maybe 1 or 2 more times. Well, friends, thank you very much for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you next time right here on Studio Classroom.
A friend endures at all times. A good friend lasts a lifetime. I am so proud to have you in my life. A good friend lasts a lifetime.